Since 650 BC, humans have been minting coins to trade and exchange value. And probably since 649 BC, humans have been trying to fake it, grow it on trees, or make their own. Now, I'm a blacksmith, which means I forge things, but not in the fraudulent way, the blacksmith way. And today, I want to do both by making my own coins. In order to make my own coins, I'm gonna need a die, and the plan is to use our lovely 200-weight Massey steam hammer to do the smushing, and we need a die to imprint the design that our coins need. All of our forging here in the workshop is under what we call open dies. That is, whether it's flat dies or some sort of shaped dies like these V dies, the piece being forged is open to the air as compared to closed die forging, which you will have seen when we did our tour of W.H. Tildesley, where the material is hammered into a negative cavity and then fills it. That is closed die forging, and that's what we're going to need to do to be able to stamp our coins. And so the first step is going to be making the block that we are going to install in here and carve our impression into. Forge hot! Pow! So, I have a few different options for material here. We have this bar here. It's an alloy called P20. They use that for making plastic injection molding dies. It's like a fairly hard material. Nothing crazy though. I've also got this thinner bar of H13. Now this is a hot work tool steel that has some air hardening properties to it. And if I'm able to upset enough of this stuff to make a nice girthy block, this is going to be my material of choice, at least the best of what I've got in the workshop at the moment. Okay, hang on a second. I don't think this is going to be big enough. I'm not going to be able to make a big enough block of steel. Change your plans! We'll use this stuff. That'll be good. I've actually got this off-cut. It's pretty close in size. One steel block. Now we've got to anneal it. This P20 alloy steel also does do a little bit of air hardening, which means that if I just let that cool down now, it is going to be way too hard for all of the carving, machining, and handwork and polishing that we need to do in order to make the die.
You're gonna cool down in there, yeah?
Yep, let it cool down in there. You know when you're like really warm on a summer holiday, and you think, golly, I could just do with cooling down. What do? You just jump right into a boiling hot forge, right? That's what you're suggesting.
Why have you actually put it back in?
So that it can cool down. Now while that cools down, I need a design. No point making our own currency if we don't have a cool design on it. Sounds like it's still quite hot. Damn, that's incredibly hot still. I need this thing to be cold, slowly. It's so pretty how the water evaporates. Isn't that cool? Now we're gonna square this puppy up, get it neat and flat. We got it machined up, but this thing was an absolute pig to machine. So I'm a little bit skeptical about whether it properly got annealed. So let's test the Rockwell hardness. Are you f***ing kidding me? Again? Okay. Ah, lovely, 40 Rockwell. That's really hard. That's not axe hard, knife hard, but it's wear out your tools real quick hard, that's for sure. Delightful. This is unworkably hard for how we have to make this thing. Unfortunately, this means we're gonna have to do it properly. Our regular plain carbon steels, like 1080 that has 0.8% carbon, seems to fare perfectly fine with just cooling it down with the forge. This P20 tool steel, not so much. So we're gonna do a proper, actual anneal. Here we go, found the specifications. Wow, that is slow. Oh my goodness! Heat to 780 degrees Celsius. Okay, sure. Then cool slowly in the furnace at a temperature rate of 4 degrees Celsius per hour. Man, this thing's gonna be so crusty when it's done. I have to completely remachine it. Ridiculous. My electricity bill is going to be hundreds of pounds for annealing this one thing. The kiln has been on for almost 24 hours and is still 500 degrees Celsius. As it turns out, the kiln was on for 36 hours. It's also like 3 weeks later. Let's see if the block got soft. Oh yeah, soft as butter. 3 Rockwell, 36 hours of annealing has done this thing all sorts of good. Now, but it does also mean that there is an incredibly thick layer of scale all around this thing, so we have to put this back in the mill and completely remachine everything, get it nice and square, before we can even start thinking about the design that we're going to sink into it. All right, she's all cleaned up and purdy. I'm now going to put a hole in the bottom so that we can install a stud to mount it in our dividing head.
Yeah!
Why would you do that? Wow. So this pin is a larger diameter than the hole that it's inserted in. We have forced what is called an interference fit. Because we heated up the block and not the pin, the block expanded. The hole grew larger, pin could go in, block cools, it's now gripping that thing with a death grip of 3/100ths of a millimeter. So now I can use the pin, put it in our indexing head, and ta-da, that is now firmly held. So this block is going to be a bottom die, and so in it we are going to sink our coin impression. The negative of the coin sunk in there. This will then go over to the power hammer, sit on top of the bottom die, impression facing up, smashing the coins into it. I think we want a fairly healthy sized coin. Kind of something like this, maybe 40 or 50 millimeters. And I think that will leave plenty enough material around the edges that the die is going to hold it strong. Right, now I think I can do some thinking. Paper is still there. How? Ah! That's not good. Mate, this thing has so much chatter, I'm taking way too heavy of a cut. Oh, yucky. What the f is happening? Right, there's so much vibration and so much lack of rigidity. I think it sucked the tool down, or it sucked oh no, it sucked our workpiece up. Oh, that was a $60 end mill. Dropped tip first. That is shaping up to be one fat coin die. I am hoping that we make a very juicy coin. And that looks like the impression of a very juicy coin. But I'm gonna polish out all these nasty marks before we do any more cutting. All right, now we've got to sink a design into it. I want to do a big old touch mark in this bad boy, big old S. I was making slow progress in there, so I ground an old drill bit. We'll see if this works better. Chisel and hand hammer. Oh yeah. That is going deep. All right, I've been pondering this. Obviously, a coin needs a date. It needs some sort of text. Where do I put both of them? I've got to figure that out. And then I have to reverse both of them and do it mirrored. Wonder if anybody can spot the mistake that I've made. I think you'll know what's happened with my touch mark. All right, how's it look in the mirror? Yay, that's pretty cool. I'd love to say that that didn't require every brain cell in my body to be able to make that happen. That's awesome. We got it reversed in some wax. Ah! No! Oh! The best way to mount our new bottom close die would be with a dovetail. However, I don't have time to go ahead and make female dovetails, male dovetails. That's where this comes in. This is a ginormous saddle that is going to slip over the bottom die, and then out of this flat bar, we're going to make a little bracket that gets clamped against that. Bottom die is bolted to the bracket, bish bash bosh. This is not an industrial solution, this is quite the temporary solution, but hopefully it works for us. Drill and tap some holes in the bottom of the die. Very nice! This bolts to there. Now, we're going to weld that to there, form that into a little nice 90-degree angle. This then gets clamped to our frame. Bish bash bosh, we got ourselves the janky bottom die. And then now, we just gotta harden the die. We know this thing is soft as butter. We've got to get everything we can get out of that P20. I want it harder than a...
Wait, you mean like the movie?
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. It's been tempered. I'm gonna let that get to room temperature, give it a good old polish, and get it bolted to our mounting system.
Is that big bumblebee back again?
All right, you ready, Jamie? Are you joking? Bro, that gap is too small for this bar. Booty. This now means it is time to fire up the forge and prepare our material. The impression is 45 millimeters wide, and at its deepest is 4.5 millimeters deep. And I know it's going to take some experimentation to work out what size of coupon goes in it. So we're at the plasma CNC, and out of this 5 millimeter plate, we are going to cut a few circles.
I'm not sure if you can tell, Alec, but that one's a little bit not right.
Oh.
You might want to recut it.
You think?
I don't know, you might get away with it.
All right, we got a good range of sizes to try.
That's what she said.
Now, before we can test those little pucks, we need lube. For the steel to flow nicely into that cavity, it needs to be slippery in there. In America, you can get, in the types of quantities that a blacksmith might want, i.e. not a 55-gallon drum, a forging lubricant. Here, I can't find any. I even called up a place. Hi, could I have some forging lubricant? And they go, how much do you need? And I say, I don't know, a litre, please. And they, poof, there's no way they want to sell to the big boys. It would appear we don't have to buy enough lube to take a bath in it. We can make our own, thanks to a YouTube video made by Torbjorn. It consists of graphite powder and some molybdenum disulfide powder lubricant. So I'm going to follow his instructions and mix up a jar of the good stuff.
What's that, black coat?
No, that's graphite powder, Jamie. Oh my God, it's so fine. Look, touch that. With your fingers.
Oh.
Look, it like paints your fingers black.
It feels wet nearly.
Yeah. Oh, you hear that? The local horse and carriage is coming by.
Can you imagine if you put one of these in to begin with, and the first one, it gets squished in there, and you can't get it out of the die, and it's forever in the die?
That'll be great. I'll be super happy about the weeks of work that's gone into this video. First up, 45.5 millimeter puck.
Right, based on what I literally just said, why do you not work upwards?
Okay, fine. First up, 38 millimeter plasma cut disc. Let's see how it goes. That looks like way too much. First ever drop forging in my own workshop. 3, 2, 1. Yes! Dude! I think we almost got it first time. That is just utterly epic. Okay, that was 38. Let's now try 40. Not filling one edge of the thing. 42. I think that one looks better. The rim is much better formed here. This is 44. Oh, it looks good, boys and girls. 45. These things just keep looking better and better. 45.5. Oh, it looks so good. I'm so happy. The die still looks in good condition, and I think we have a little close look here. Work out the pros and cons of all the sizes. When it's too small, If it's not just perfectly in the center, it doesn't fill out one edge of the rim. Can't have that, can we? We want it to look consistent here. 44 millimeters, however, is the first mega crispy size. It looks good. 45 also looks good. The flashing's a bit thicker. I did notice on 45.5, they were both a little bit tricky to release. So maybe 45 it is. Half a millimeter smaller than the diameter of the die itself. That is what we're going to be cutting our coupons to. It's almost going to be time for lunch, which means that we are going to have the afternoon to go full mass production mode and see if the benefits of drop forging, stamping out parts close to their finished form, means that we can have a very profitable afternoon. That's worked amazingly. Woo! I've got a pizza in my belly. I got a load of forbidden pepperoni, and the production line is about to begin. Yeah, baby, off to a good start. Bro, we're drop forging, let's go! No! I'm working away here and the noise is starting to change. Got no idea what's happening, but it looks like the compressor has bloody stopped working. This is the most full-on we've ever run this compressor, and now there's no lights. This fuse box here, that 63 amp fuse is tripped. Apparently if you run the compressor for about 45 minutes straight, this 2,500 pounds of electrical work doesn't quite like it. So that's thrilling. Bro, the compressor tripped the fuse again! These are all our successful stampings. And here are our double stamps. Got a little line from a little double stamp where it jumped out of the die and shifted. This one jumped out of the die, twisted, and I didn't reorient it properly when I put it back in, so it's got a flat spot. Same thing happened here, and this. It's just like very minor cosmetic damage, but I think it'll clean up fine with the buffer.
That one's basically fine. I'd put that in here.
Yeah, okay, fine. Cool, good. Now I do want to debrief what my first drop forging experience was like. I also want to see what condition the die is in. And frankly, I think it's in phenomenal condition. We're still getting really good surface finishes on our parts. This little mark on the tip of my index is from a chisel, from prying out the parts, which is, I think, the biggest problem with this whole setup. I wouldn't be surprised if proper drop forging dies have what's called a draft angle on the impression. The edge of our die has these 90-degree corners, which means the coin itself experiences tons of friction against those edges. A draft angle, where these angles here are obtuse, would really help it release up and out way better.
Yeah, but isn't it going to make it not square?
That is the case, but I think that if you were designing a drop forged die and a drop forged component, that would be a consideration that you make for efficient forging, and if you needed it square, I assume that that would then be a job for machining. I'm sure there are tons of people with a load of experience who will let us know in the comments down below. Are draft angles mandatory in drop forging dies, or is it case-by-case basis? You accept a little bit more sticktivity on this part because you don't want to machine it here or there, but you put a nice fat draft angle on that part because you know it's going to be machined anyway. Let us know down below. And aside from the compressor not working great because it cut off about 8 times, I have to go put the fuse back, that all went pretty smooth. Now, I don't have a clipping die to clip off the flashing like the lovely folks at DMM have with their carabiners, or the lovely folks at WH Tildesley have in their incredible drop forging facility, so I'm going to have to grind off the flashing by hand. This might just motivate me to want to try and learn about how to make a clipping die and make a clipping die next time. For now, let's finish these. I feel rich! Oh, look at those beauties. What a bloomin' treat. I want to get rid of the grinding marks, and we're going to do that by heating everything. A little bit of forged scale to cover that up before a final wire wheeling. As a result of our hard die sinking work, we now have mass production kind of at our fingertips. And of course that means I need to sell the result of all this hard work, and so very quickly hopped into the old Squarespace app. Got a picture of this coin here, nice example. Jotted down a quick little description, added a price, set an inventory number, and published it for sale. It was easy as can be. Now I also have these 5 rejects, and I love them. I think the misstamps are the coolest part. So of course, I added those for sale too to the website. Now, one of the things that's very important to me as a customer when I'm buying something is being able to check out easily. Checkout process has got to be smooth, and that's even more important when your business counts on it. And of course, thankfully, Squarespace's checkout page is very slick. Little Apple Pay button, bish bash bosh. Your order can be on the way with Squarespace. Now, they have countless drag and drop themes, which means you don't need to know how to build a website to build a beautiful one. You can also use their powerful AI tools to help write product descriptions, content for the website, and a whole bunch more. You can sell unlimited physical or digital products, do your email marketing campaigns there too, and best of all, you can try it for free for 2 weeks when you go to squarespace.com/forge. When you use code FORGE at checkout, you will get 10% off your purchase, which is great for you, but also helps them know that we sent you, so please be sure to always use that code with Squarespace. Thank you so much for watching. I'm incredibly grateful. I've dreamt of doing my own drop forging for a very long time. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.